Got it.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are joining us today. I am Katie Z with the FIO update for you. I am joined today by GP Worrell. He is our master thinker and designer behind the FIO Dashboard, which we're so excited to show to you. So today what I want to do and cover is introduce GP to you guys all at the community. We are open source and transparent, so that is the aim here, to give you guys as much information and insight to everything that we have been working on. And a little background on GP. We'll get into a little bit about what the FIO Dashboard is, what is the thinking behind it, what benefit is it creating for FIO users. And then we'll also share some screens at the end to give you a little sampling of what this experience is going to be like once it goes live. So thank you for joining us, GP.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
It's really awesome to have you here. I've known you for about 4 years now in the blockchain space, but what about for those who are just getting to know you for the first time? Can you give them a little bit of a background of some of the experience that you have even prior to blockchain and how you
Sure.
here?
Sure. So as far as my background, when I met you, I was really just entering the space. Like, I hadn't been in it very long, and maybe it'd been maybe half a year or maybe a little bit longer than that. But prior to that, I was heavily involved and steeped in fintech and big FI, and had done stints with Wells Fargo and Morgan Stanley and developing product and in many facets of their businesses, and leading some teams doing that, the user experience side of it. And I got the opportunity to leave and go to work for a digital wallet startup, which is where I met you. And long story short, moved on from that and then continued to stay within the space. And so I've had the opportunities to work for quite a few different startups that have touched lots of different things. I mean, you've got the guys over at Unbanked, you've got FIO, of course, you've got Orbit and Freeway and some other really neat stuff that's coming down the pipe. And then those kind of all touched other larger entities like Litecoin proper, for example, and Bitcoin Foundation. And so I kind of tended to stay within that ecosystem and have lived there ever since. And that's developing products, whether it's digital wallet, whether it's some DeFi tool, whether it's working with exchanges or even non-crypto based blockchain projects. So, I mean, which is a whole nother world. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. And currently the UX guy at FIO and helping them develop their products right now. The one that we're talking about today, Dashboard.
Yeah. No, this is what I want the community to really understand, is that the foundation and the protocol as like a technology stack, the level of talent that is really coming to the table to deliver and build the FIO protocol is top notch. GP, you didn't mention it, but I know that you've been working with those bigger household CFI or central finance companies. For
yeah. I mean, I've had my hands in, I've had my hands in all kinds of things. I still do at some point, sometimes. But yeah, with our focus, I'm still doing some stuff with the guys within those institutions as well.
So let's get into the FIO dashboard. So you're putting all this experience to good use. And one of the things that I recognize you for is, taking these really complex ideas, developers and marketers, and they all want all these features and widgets and different capabilities, right? But that can quickly become overwhelming for a user experience if we were to incorporate all that. And so I think one of the more artful and masterful things that you bring to creating this dashboard is distilling that into a really, you're obsessively, like, just being honest, you're like maniacally focused on a very clean user experience. So we'll get to show the community some of that. Since you are so close to building this out, why don't you share a little bit with the community on what the vision and idea is behind the dashboard? What's it going to do for us?
Sure. What's it going to do? It's going to do a lot of things, actually. And you're right. And so you've got this giant ecosystem of the FIO dashboard, right? And it has all of these facets to it. So at its root form, it's to allow someone to simply come on to the dashboard via authentication or an account creation, and to purchase a domain and an address or a handle. We're in the middle of that, right? So if they're looking at a handle, and those can be free, they can be custom. I mean, there's a couple different facets there, but it's allow someone to very easily obtain one of those handles, and again, whether it's public or custom, and to manage that, right? And so what I mean by manage that is, it's one thing to get it, it's another thing to use it. And so it's, for example, ensuring and connecting, making sure that the wallets are all connected and that the chains are all connected to the handle, and things that are related to that, right? And so and to be able to understand what my transactions look like, and kind of what the routing looks like. It's kind of this ecosystem to allow not only the acquisition, but the actual use as well, in its simplest form. And there's a lot that goes into that.
I'm envisioning, and we'll see once it goes live how the market responds to it. But I am envisioning that there's going to be a couple of key audiences that are really interested in this. One of them, I'm speculating, is going to be the ones that are interested in domains, purchasing a domain. So, you got your whole FIO address. That's an NFT. That's comprised of your username, @symbol, and the domain.
Right.
The domain itself is also a separate NFT. So
Sure.
learning that, I know that the developers are working on and should have that out sometime in 2021 for domain wrapping, where they'll be able to list these domains on OpenSea and other marketplaces too. So I think the dashboard will solve a good management place.
Yes, it's partially understanding and use of it in one root form. The other part is, you're correct, is how, if I have multiple domains, for example, how do I manage those facets of that domain? How do I link them? How do I transfer them? How do I buy additional ones? How do I renew them? Because in the case of that right there, for example, a consideration had to be given to, I'm not renewing one domain, but I'm potentially renewing multiple domains, and when do they expire, and can that do that automatically? Am I going to be reminded about it? I mean, there's a million pieces that go into just that piece that you just talked about right there. And so that's about this bit of, something that's like that big.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, because we've got a lot of different partners in the whole FIO ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be a place for a user to be able to help manage if they have multiple FIO addresses, multiple domains, things like that. Do you want to go ahead and share your screen and give the community some?
Yeah, we can look at that. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's two sides to what you're talking about, right? It's again, it's like one side is the users, and the other side is what does like the future-proof side of the dashboard look like? Can I take and pull pieces out that can then be white labeled or integrated or converted into an SDK? I mean, there's all kinds of things that go into it, even more than that. So yeah, let me do that.
And how about on timelines? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can, but only from kind of my side of the house. So for about the last 5 to 6 months now, maybe less than that, myself and Pavo have been working on the actual product itself, right? So they've been working on the use flows for each individual element. So it's kind of like trying to figure out how to eat that elephant, so to speak. And so it's taking it down and putting it into stage gates and building that. Now, where we are is we have just rolled out the last piece of that user experience for now in the MVP. And we have been working with Dev in tandem. They're now making ground up. And so I can't speak to the dev side of it, but I can tell you that from an MVP perspective, the experience, we've kind of put the bow on it, and now we're just kind of going back and looking at things like ensuring like that the mobile views are in sync, and doing the little dirt, the devil's in the detail, so to speak. And so the heavy lifting has been done, and now it's just a matter of kind of continuing to polish the MVP, and then actually start to stage gate the follow on, because all this other stuff that we want to bring in online as well. That's coming down the pipe.
This is just, everything moves at warp speed in crypto, or we try to anyway. And
Sure.
so there's an artful way to do that, and sometimes it's pretty and sometimes it's not. But one way to do that is to strip it down to the bare minimums. Let's get that out and moving, and then concurrently we're already working on the second version of that.
Right. And you touched on the simplicity of it, right? So like just this view of this piece right here. I mean, it's as simple as that. It is actually, hey, let me put in what I want as my handle. Let me select a domain. I can select that from one of the few that are publicly available, or I can go down the custom route, and it should be as simple as this. And passing it into a cart. I mean, it shouldn't get any more complex than literally that, right? So understanding if it's available or not, and adding it to the cart, and then the checkout system is really, really simple right now. It's it just
So this is cool because it shows very easy and intuitively, like, okay, so here's my username. I got to type and check that against the domain and make sure that that's available. So it breaks it out, and it eliminates any potential confusion.
Sure, it does. And in the case of making the purchase, it's pretty much this simple. Now, right now we're, as part of the MVP, we're using FIO as the vehicle for the purchase, right? At a later date, it could be other cryptocurrency, it could be Bitcoin, Ethereum, it could be any of that. But for now, with our MVP, we're focused on using FIO as the only proxy to kind of get the purchase done. So yeah. And then, I mean, it doesn't get any more simple than that. Confirm the purchase, shows you the purchase. And from that point forward, you can manage it within the dashboard. And again, you can start to do things like, let's see here. You can start to do things like managing my addresses. Okay.
So this is something I think that is going to be really valuable to the community.
Sure.
Because a lot of
you're exactly
people
right.
want one address for making a they have their business, and then they have their personal, and then maybe they have their ultra private. And so that's the beauty of what FIO is doing, is you don't have to publicly map your address on the blockchain. So you can maintain, to be able to use the protocol, you can maintain your entire self-sovereignty with FIO protocol, and still have a friendly, joyful user experience in crypto, without worrying about what chain you're sending it to, and token, and all the different wallets and public keys. So I think this is going to be really helpful for, I know myself, just speaking.
Right. No, you're absolutely. And again, it's, it is the net result, or the end goal, is to do that, but do that and make it simple. Right. So, this is manage at my addresses, right? And so in this, we see, hey, look, we've got an expiration date coming up. Let's make sure we do that. Hey, you may have not linked any crypto to that yet, so let's look at that as well. So when you're looking at that, well, I mean, linking should be really, really, really simple, right? And I should be able to link whatever chain code that I want to that specific address. It doesn't get any more simple than this. So if I want to add that link, for example, it's just this simple. It's adding in whatever or however many that you actually want to actually associate. It could be one, it could be many. And so we've spent a lot of time kind of looking at how easy that is to use. So in this case, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. a few screens to link for the net result to be all of my address. I have one address and I've linked X amount of chain codes to that. It's that simple. And so that's what we've been doing, is kind of synthesizing that process and kind of how that works, and taking this large body of requirements that business wants and that marketing wants and that the community is asking for, and extrapolating all of that out to get a really large
experience.
Large. Yeah. I mean, you can see even just, and I know this is small for viewers, this is one facet of a much larger piece. But it gives an idea of like how much thought and how much work has to go into making something extremely simple.
I love this. I cannot wait to market this heavily and get people to try it out, get their feedback on it. That's coming soon. Also, this is a video that I just wanted to get a little sampling out there, introduce you to the community as well, so that they can see some of what's been under the hood. I mean, for an MVP, this is just blows me away. This is an amazing MVP. We're going to continue the conversation too into more details as well. So.
Sure. I mean, we can talk about this all day, about all little facets and of any of this. But yeah, it's been fun. It's super polished. I think it's going to be pretty awesome when it gets out there. Again, it'll extend across all devices. So, I mean, you know, when we're coming out the gate, we're not only coming out with desktop piece, but we're also taking into consideration the mobile. And this is kind of what I'll leave it with, is that like every bit of this has been given consideration as we've kind of moved forward.
That's amazing. I love the last screen that you were showing too, about how simple and visually intuitive it is with the color coding. Is it private or is it public? And that puts that control into the user's hands. And that is what FIO is all about. So I love it.
Absolutely. And this is just the mobile version of what I showed you. So yeah, it's cool. We love it. I love working on it.
Amazing stuff, GP. Thank you so much for taking time with us to walk us through some of the work that you've been hard at work on for a long time now. And we're excited to get it out there live.
Glad to do it.
All right. And so until next time, we will catch you then, and we will bring you more details and a more nuanced video tutorial and deep dive into this. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye.